As I mentioned, we'll just get this straightened out as soon as we can. Dr. Becca Johnson is the co-author of the book, Overcoming Emotions That Destroy. Dr. Johnson, are you with us?
I am. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. Well, thank you so much. You had me nervous for just a second.
I'm here.
Great. Dr. Johnson, before we actually get into our discussion, you've been a licensed psychologist for over 20 years. Do you mind just telling us what you do, your family, married?
Well, yes, I'd be glad to. I'm married to a wonderful man. I have 4 children, and right now, I've been saying there are 4 teenagers, but my oldest just turned 20.
Okay.
So when it comes to writing a book on anger, I have been there, done that, and continue to struggle and with 4 kids that are wonderful and yet challenging at times.
Yeah.
And we have been missionaries overseas, and I've been involved in counseling in formal and informal settings for, well, on and off for the last 20 years. And most recently, I've been involved with counselor training programs in different parts of the world, and Cambodia and India, Philippines, different places, helping those who counsel with victims rescued from the sex trade.
Okay. Wow. That, now your background as a psychologist, is there a particular field that you studied?
I like to say I specialize in sexual abuse, helping those that have been wounded at the hands of other people for abuse, and specifically sexual abuse.
Okay, wow. Well, you know, I'd like to maybe later on get you back on the program to talk about that, because that is a very pertinent subject for today. But I want to look at the book, Overcoming Emotions That Destroy. And as I mentioned at the offset, Doctor, we talked to Chip, and Chip describes in the book, you know, there's 3 types of people. We all fall into one of those categories on how we express our anger. There's the spewer, the stuffer, and the leaker. And you just mind taking a few moments and, as a psychologist, just explaining those types of people to us?
Oh, sure. And I do recommend the book because there's so many more details than I can provide in our short time together. Mm-hmm. And also our hope in writing the book is just that it will help people. Those that have been hurt by other people's angers, and those that are afraid of anger, and those that themselves have hurt other people with their anger. So when we talk about the 3 anger styles, the spewer, stuffer, leaker, the spewer, as you can imagine, is the person like the volcano. They erupt when they're angry. They just want to let you know they're mad, and they are very clear. And they may do yelling, kicking, throwing, all sorts of behaviors. But when they're mad, you know it. They spew. Mm. The stuffer, on the other hand, is the person really that believes that anger is bad. If they're a Christian, they might say, well, anger is a sin. And so they want to keep it under control, keep it stuffed deep inside. And, of course, one of their problems is that they can develop ulcers and other physical complaints because it's bottled up inside. Right. And they need to know that it's okay to be angry. Mm-hmm. It's just what we do with it. Mm-hmm. And then lastly is the leaker. The leaker is the person that, well, I don't want to show anger because I might be out of control, or it might be a sin, but I'm going to leak it out in little ways that irritate you, that annoy you. I'll be late. I'll forget to return something. I'll walk at a different pace than you in tasks, and it's their way of getting back at someone. Instead of expressing their anger in healthy verbal ways, they're going to indirectly, and it might even be gossip or actions. Mm-hmm.
Now, would it be my understanding that those different ways of expressing anger that way sort of stem from, you know, deep hurts, deep pain in people's lives?
Well, I think that several things play into how we develop our anger style. One thing is that we all do all of them, but one is more our home base, or what we use. Because even the stuffer may at times, occasionally, spew or let it out. Right. but one is more prominent. I think it's our personality, our upbringing. If you're from a family of spewers, then you might be a spewer. Or if you have had deep hurts in your past, you might be, how you show your anger might be affected. Those who have been abused have learned to stuff and keep it inside. Or turn the external anger towards inward anger, the self-anger. So a lot of factors are involved, but what we say in the book that is so important is that anger is really just the external emotion that says there is something deeper going on inside.
Okay.
It's we give the analogy of it's the light on the dash. When the light goes on in the car, you don't say, "Oh, I better fix the light." You say, "What's wrong under the hood?"
Yeah.
And the same thing when there's anger, we don't say, "Oh, let's try and fix the anger problem." Which is necessary for some people, of course, but we want to go deeper to what's causing the anger.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's let's sort of approach anger from a different level. Now, you talk in the book about there's two categories: minimizing stress and maximizing God. But and I find it very unique how you begin the chapter of your own personal experience, how you sort of came to this recollection that, wow, there's things going on in my life and it has to do with these incidentals, these annoyances that triggered anger. And then you go through and develop and talk about 6 steps that we can minimize the stress. But first of all, kind of give us your little story, and then we can get into the 6 points that you mentioned.
My humiliating story? Yes, I decided one day while I was writing the book, well, I think I'll keep a log or a journal today of all the times I get angry. And so every time I felt some annoyance or frustration, I would write it down and what happened. And at the end of the day, I was shocked and I was humiliated because I realized 2 things. One is I got angry too often over just all sorts of things. And the second thing I realized is that most of the time when I did get angry or frustrated, it was over little things, petty things, little annoyances.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm wasting my energy, or even my emotional anger energy. If you look at it that way, I'm not a good steward of my emotions. It reminds me of when someone asked Mother Teresa once. They said, doesn't it make you angry, all the injustice in the world? And she said, why should I expend energy in anger that I could expend in love?
Yes.
And I thought, I am wasting, I am spending too much of my energy in anger that I shouldn't be. So it was a very humbling experience. So then I said, well, what could help us, or me and others, on this road towards improving our lifestyle so that we don't, in a sense, I was thinking of, what is it, like fleas nipping at or a dog nipping at our heels. How can we get rid of the little anger annoyances?
Right.
And some are triggered by deeper things.
Right. But you, in that conversation that, or in your book, as you're describing it, you related to the fact that usually the common denominator is stress.
Yes.
And because of stress in our lives, it triggers those annoyances, but it gives us an angered reaction. And then you talk about 6 points of how we can minimize and stress. And so, let's just take some time and go through what those 6 points are and just elaborate on each one of them for us.
Well, the first one I said is eliminate hurry. I found that so often my annoyances that day were because I was hurrying around. I was running around. And in fact, it was at that time my children were younger. They weren't all teenagers. And they, I'd say, hurry up, get in the car. Hurry up, we got to go. And when I would be in line at the store, it was like I would be impatient because the line was moving too slow, or the traffic, or whatever. And I realized that if I just eliminated hurry, planned better, had a different pace. One of my children finally said, well, Mom, why are we in such a hurry? And I had to stop and think. There was really no reason. I just wanted to move at a quicker pace.
Right. So basically, we develop this hurry-up lifestyle.
Exactly. I love a book written by Tim Hansel. It was written years ago, called When I Relax, I Feel Guilty.
Okay.
And one of the things he says is our world seems intoxicated with hurry. And even when, well, one of my favorite poems was written by Orrin Crane, and it's called Slow Me Down, Lord.
Okay.
Slow me down.
Yeah. Well, you write in your book, and I think it's kind of great, these three things. Number one, slow down, plan ahead, so you can enjoy life.
Yes.